This is a voyage of contemplation and reflection, where you are invited to open your mind and listen keenly. As you listen to each of the following statements, imagine that you are the one reciting them. It may be that not every one of these statements resonates with your heart, and that is fine. Just move to the next one and listen and connect with what feels true for you. You'll find this journey uplifting, inspirational, and deeply restorative. So let's take this voyage now. What I have learned is that when I stop struggling and let go, what I need more easily finds its way to me. What I have learned is impatience disturbs my peace and blocks my path. What I have learned is when I give without counting, all my own needs are automatically and naturally met. What I have learned is when my mind is full of gratitude, there's no room for negative thoughts and feelings. What I have learned is that peace is only ever one thought away. What I have learned is when I trust myself, I am able to rise to any occasion. What I have learned is that self-love is the antidote to shame and fear. What I have learned is that kindness unlocks every door. What I have learned is when I turn the work I do on myself into love, It no longer feels like a struggle, and I find peace and joy. What I have learned is that it is only when I make my positive choices non-negotiable that I can fulfill my dreams and attain my heart's desires. What I have learned is my mind is hungry for my highest instructions. Only then can I fulfill my potential. What I have learned is that with sincerity and focus, all things can be achieved. What I have learned is when I count my blessings never go away. What I have learned is that the truth, when delivered kindly, does set one free. What I have learned is everybody wins in a charitable world. What I have learned is fortune really does favor the brave. What I have learned is when I let go of bitterness, my heart grows and expands. What I have learned is gratitude and appreciation attract the most wondrous things. What I have learned is if I want to really see the deep meaning and significance behind things, I need to say less and listen more. What I have learned is all things come to those who wait. What I have learned is patience is the mother of wisdom. So when I can wait, everything is eventually understood. What I have learned is those who respect time discover that time works with them and not against them. What I have learned is sometimes the most important thing that I can do is nothing. What I have learned is that the more I give thanks, the more I will have to be thankful for. What I have learned is free will is both a gift and an opportunity, and I seize that opportunity today and every day. What I have learned is if I don't disrupt and change my negative patterns, they will continue to run my life. What I have learned is virtues always travel in pairs. It is when they stand alone that they can become vices. What I have learned is context always determines what it is that I can see. So I avoid drawing conclusions until I have all the information. What I have learned is when I live with little or no expectation of others, I am not easily hurt or disappointed, and my journey is made much smoother. What I have learned is when I'm not afraid to look honestly into my heart, and look my demons in the eyes, that is when I am most alive, most able to grow. And so, I take a fearless inventory each day and honestly and kindly address those things that I have most denied and been afraid of. As a result, my spirit is set free, and I am able to live my best life. And so I do. This is what I have learned.